lead heads, welcome back to another episode of the Talking Lead Podcast. It's episode 260. If you guys didn't get a chance to tune into our previous episode, make sure you go back and check it out. We had some awesome deals coming at you from Defy Watches from our good buddy Jeremy Smith over there. Smith and Bradley LTD watches and Defy watches. He hit you guys with some amazing discounts, so make sure you go back and check out that episode. And then we also had our interview with the guys from Spikes Tactical. It was a great interview with Kit Cope and the guys there. So make sure you go back, listen to that episode. And we're back. We're back from Europe, guys. It was an awesome trip. And we're going to talk about it a little bit this episode. We were pressed for time, so I didn't get as much as I'd like to with these guys. So I'm going to have them back on in another episode. And we'll talk more details with David Fortier, Robb Manning, and Mike with Pioneer Arms Corp over there in Poland. So as you're listening to this, you may notice that the audio is a little bit different. I did have a blowout while I was there. Instead of getting a power converter, I had a power adapter, and it blew out my mixing board. But we were fortunate enough that we got a loaner from one of Mike's employees. He's a musician, extremely talented guy. So thank you for letting us borrow your mixing board. However, I didn't have a clue as to what all his buttons and things did. So I think I got it as good as possible. There's some background noise because we are at a range, so you're going to hear the popping in the background, but it's not too bad. I think I got most of it filtered out pretty good. So, and you'll notice probably that this audio sounds a little differently as well, because I haven't got the parts to replace that with yet. So those are coming. Our audio quality will be back up to the standards that you guys are used to next episode. But don't let that stop you guys from going and supporting those that support this show, the Talking Lead Podcast. Right On Optics, the official optics of Talking Lead. Go to Right On USA. They've got that new 1:8. They have it in a first and second focal plane option for you tactical guys, for you hunters. I've got the tactical version, and it's really awesome. I'm loving it. Should be getting that hunting version in pretty soon. I haven't had a chance to actually mount the scope yet, but that's on my agenda. The things to do as I've returned from Europe. So we're going to get that thing mounted and get some trigger time with it and get you guys some videos. We'll be posting those on social media, so stay tuned for that. RightOnUSA.com. X Steel Targets.
X Steel Targets.
The best, most affordable AR-500 steel targets on the market today. And by the way, they're even more affordable because they are having a big sale for you lead heads. They are having a huge end of summer sale. They've got 45% off their gongs, silhouettes, statics, squares, their knockovers, their easy targets, and it's 25% off everything else. Go to xsteeltargets.com, use coupon code EOS18 as in end of summer 18, and you'll get those amazing deals from Bud and the gang over there at X Steel Targets. And if you haven't done so, you guys need to get yourself some Talking Lead t-shirts. You can go to 1776united.com and you can get our classic Talking Lead t-shirt or our Leadhead Brigade t-shirt right there at 1776united.com. And we've got our Leadhead Brigade patches as well. And you guys want those awesome Talking Lead black assault mugs, you can go to dip123.com/Talking Lead and get yourself set up with the evil black assault mug. Better than a Yeti, the Talking Leady. Get it at dip123.com/Talking Lead. The official wristwear of Talking Lead, Defy Watches and Smith & Bradley Limited. So we still have our Watches for Vets program. It started off 10 watches for 10 vets, and then Bill, our good buddy Bill over at Fleoa, threw up another 4 watches to be given away. So you guys keep those nominations coming in. I want more of those coming in from you guys. Still got about 8 or 10 of those watches to give out. So I'm going to go ahead and give one out again this episode right now before we get into the Talking Lead European Vacation. And our winner this week is, and I'm going to read your story, then I'll announce who you are. This is my story. I am no hero. As a senior in high school, I signed up for delayed entry in February 1983 to report on December 1st, 1983. My slot at the Military Intelligence School would not be open until February 1984. And in October 1983, the United States military invaded Grenada. My first duty assignment out of intelligence school was at 105th Military Intelligence Battalion, Fort Polk, LA, where I met a number of veterans of the invasion. In July 1987, my initial enlistment was about to end when I received notification that I was to be promoted. But in order to make it official, I would have to re-enlist. So I re-enlisted for 6 more years. Other than 4 trips to the National Training Center in Fort Irwin, California, I really did nothing. In January 1989, I was transferred to 102nd Military Intelligence Battalion, Camp Hovey, Korea. All I have to show for that assignment was 2 bouts with dysentery and nearly succumbing to carbon monoxide poisoning on Christmas Day. Meanwhile, in November of 1989, the Berlin Wall came down, and in December 1989, the United States Army invaded Panama. I left Korea in January of 1990 for my reassignment to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, but had to complete airborne school prior to reporting. So when I finished my training at Fort Benning, Georgia, I proceeded to Fort Bragg. Once there, I was assigned to 7th Special Forces Group, where almost everyone there had a combat patch from the invasion. Central America and Spain are 7th Special Forces areas of expertise, so when in August of 1990 the Persian Gulf War happened, it was considered to be outside the scope of 7th Special Forces Group. With the exception of being the passenger in a rented Toyota Hilux that flipped end over end on a mountain trail in Central America, I have little but memories to offer. In May 1999, was promoted to Staff Sergeant, but was in an E5 slot, so I had to be reassigned to 519th Military Intelligence Battalion, Fort Bragg. So as I sat watching most of soldiers that had just returned from the Gulf War and across from a warrant officer with a piece of the Berlin Wall on his desk, I began to consider if I could make it a career. With no combat experience, it seemed highly unlikely that I would ever be promoted again. With the now ex-wife prompting me to do so, I opted to get out with around 7 weeks of leave saved up. I got it in November of 1993. So that being said, I may not be the best candidate for a watch. I'm no hero. I love the show. I feel that it's built on great content and especially love the Jackwagon train. Thanks for everything you do for the firearm community. T-Boz. So T-Boz, it just sounds to me like you've got bad timing, brother. So you definitely need a watch to get you on time. So congratulations, T-Boz. You are the recipient of this episode's 10 watches, but now 14 watches for 14 vets program that Defy Watches and Talking Lead and the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association has put together. So get in touch with me. Send me an email, talkingled@gmail.com, with your contact info, and we'll get you a watch, brother. So, you other military, law enforcement, first responders, you're all eligible. Send me your stories. If you're a leadhead and you know of military, law enforcement, first responder who deserves a watch, you'd like to nominate them, send me an email, talkingled@gmail.com. This was a great story. I love this story from T-Boz. It was funny. You don't have to get that detailed, but obviously it made for a good story. So send them in. Subject, I want the watch. So make sure you put that in the subject so I know where to find this and I can find it quickly. Just makes it easier for me to pick them out in a slew of emails that I get daily. So congrats to T-Boz. We're going to continue to give watches away in upcoming episodes, so stay tuned. And like I said, keep those nominations and candidates coming in. I've still got several more here that we're going to be going through. And of course, as you guys know, we took a week off, and I've got several Jackwagon nominations from you guys. So I'm not going to do like a real big long Jackwagon train this week. I'm just going to mention some because we do have a great show ahead.
Hoorah, Semper Fi, do or die, hold 'em high at 8th and I. It is time for the talking lead Jackwagon of the week, so brace yourself, baby.
So here's one from Jason F. So I want to nominate the jury in Sacramento, California that awarded a family $2.75 million because they say Officer Hardio Acosta shot their relative one more time than needed while the man was stabbing the officer with scissors. 9/11 was called because Sonny Lamb was becoming violent with his family and they feared him. So to recap, family calls police because they fear their relative. Police arrive, man then attacked police officer, stabbing him with scissors. Officer shoots 2 shots, stopping the threat. Family then sues police for protecting himself and them because they say 1 shot was enough. What the fuck, he says. WTF. It looks like to me this is a family trying to tell the police department how to do a job they know nothing about. Armchair quarterbacking the police department that might have saved their lives and suing them over how many shots is appropriate to stop an assailant attacking you with a pair of scissors. This is more lunacy from liberal California. I agree. That's ridiculous. So welcome to the Jackwagon train, jury of Sacramento, California. And then my Jackwagon train my Jackwagon for this week is Nike and Colin Kaepernick. Again, Colin Kaepernick's making the Jackwagon train. Apparently Nike has signed this dude to a campaign saying believe in something even if it means sacrificing everything. If anything, all he's done is a publicity stunt. This whole kneeling during the national anthem has been a publicity stunt to gain him attention and notoriety. And apparently it's worked, because we can't stop talking about it. So this will be the last time that I talk about Colin Kaepernick and probably Nike for that fact. 1776 United made an awesome Instagram post. I think it was from them. It may have been from someone else. But instead of Colin Kaepernick on there, they put Pat Tillman. And I thought that was the appropriate way that Nike should have gone, somewhere along that direction. But anyway, welcome to the Jackwagon train, Nike and Colin Kaepernick. And then we've got another Leadhead submitted Jackwagon. This is Geo Race 34, and Geo is from Canada. And he had made a post that I reposted on our page. He had the big, huge excavator, and I asked you guys, where do you listen to the show from? So Geo says, here are 3 Jackwagon riders. Toronto mayor wanting a handgun ban after terror attack but won't blame terrorist. His second one is Montreal mayor wanting to ban handguns after terror attack but won't blame terrorist. And then the third is Canadian Prime Minister, who is calling a terror attack mental illness. And then he sends me some links to these articles in Canada. So you guys can Google that and find that information. And then he goes on to say, let's do some Canadian content sometime. Cheers, love the show. Mindy Robinson is my new favorite. She's awesome. Yeah, she's pretty cool. It was a great show with Mindy. So thank you, Geo. And speaking of that, I'm going to go to that post now, and let's just kind of see where some of you guys listen to the show from. So this post was August 21st. I said, hey, Leadheads, where do you listen? And this was from Geo's post. And Roger B says, lock myself in the bathroom away from the crazy kids, pretended to take a number 2. So Dustin W says, in my fab shop. And then he's got a picture of some kind of cool ATV vehicle. Let's see what he says. This is a proof of concept working prototype. Vibratory fiber optic plow. It also doubles as a pretty sweet toy if you pull the rear attachment off. So yeah, it's pretty cool looking. So you guys can go check out that picture on the post. And then Gio's posting some guns that he's got in Canada. Jerry B says, I listen wherever I can as soon as I can each week. Giddy up in the car or mowing the lawn, sometimes at work via YouTube. Yes, I'm one of those 5 views on YouTube. Yeah, because we don't get a lot on YouTube. But we do post on YouTube because I have had requests that that's the only way some people can listen to the show. And I am going to start posting more videos back to YouTube, so you guys stay tuned for that. Robin K says, in my truck, 30 miles to nearest supermarket here in Oregon. Roger B, driving to and from work. And Gio posting some more of his guns. I mean, you're just rubbing it in now, Gio. And he wanted me to let everybody know that gun ownership isn't as bad as some people have made it out there in Canada. Now, obviously, he's able to own some pretty sweet guns. Ezekiel E. Love listening to the podcast on Spotify while I'm at work delivering pizzas. Man, I wish you'd bring me one. Gotta love to keep the pizza hot and the lead hotter. Right on, brother. Ashley and Alex K. in the cab of a Manitowoc 4600 dragline in southeast Louisiana. He had to one-up you, Gio. Look at his crane, baby. That thing is huge. Bill A. Listen from a much less exciting desk hiding behind computer monitors. Out of sight, out of mind, brother. Chris K. at work in the truck. He's got him a big rig there. Nice. That'd be a good place to set up the Talking Lead studio on the road. That would be awesome. David J. in my car or at work. Very cool. So you guys go to that post and tell me where you guys listen to us from. Right now, the most impressive is, I've got to say, is Gio and Ashley and Alex K. Those huge freaking vehicles that they listen from. I guess you guys wear headphones or something because that's got to be loud as crap. I mean, I can barely listen to podcast or music while I'm mowing the yard. So those things got to be like 100 times louder than my mower. And ladies, I want to hear from you. I know we got some lady leadheads out there. So send me your suggestions for the show, ladies. Some things that you'd like us to talk about. Some guests maybe you'd like us to have on the show. Your Jackwagon nominations, your Fact to Fight the Miss suggestions, or just your general comments. What you like, what you don't like about the show. So ladies, I want to hear from you. talkingled@gmail.com. So that does it with my pre-show, guys. We're going to go ahead and jump into our European vacation episode. So roll it in, Gunny.
Hit it, sweetheart.
Sir, aye, sir.
Wait for that. This is episode 260, and we are coming to you from Europe. You hear some bang bang going on in the background. That's because we're at a range. And before I tell you where we're at, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to introduce our guests. Go around the table.
I'm Daniel Johnson from Pioneer Arms.
Yep.
Tomasz Stepien from Firearms United.
Brian Papula from Big 3 East, Range Staff.
And Pioneer Arms.
And Pioneer Arms, yes, sir.
And whoever else you want to be from. We are in Warsaw, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a tour of the local countries here. We've been to, what was the one we went to? What's the KR?
Krakow.
Krakow. Thank you. I was going to get the local guy to say it for us. We got the redneck saying it.
And he did a perfect job.
How do you say Krakow?
Kraków.
Krakow?
Yep.
With an F?
Yep.
Okay, so we've been saying it wrong the whole time.
Yeah, it's my second trip
Krakow.
over, and still ain't got pronunciation down right yet.
Yeah, so we were there yesterday, and then the day before that, we were actually in the Czech Republic. Went on over there and hung out. Couldn't tell you the name of the towns we were in, but we were over there. And then before that, our first stop was in, is it Rotterdam?
Rotterdam, yep.
I said that one right?
Correct.
So I think I've got that one down pat. But this is our Talking Lead European vacation. And it has been a doozy, I can tell you, Leadheads. You've been seeing the posts that I've been putting on social media, and that doesn't describe a tenth of the fun and just the beauty of this country that we're having here. So thank you for having us in your country.
Thank you for visiting.
Thomas, it's beautiful. So what Daniel and Brian are here for is an armorer's course.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
For Pioneer Arms. So you guys have been learning how to do some AK armoring and gunsmithing and whatnot.
Yep, they take it from zero to hero with this whole thing. I mean, you talk about building something from scratch. These people really do it. I mean, they mine their own metals, they refine it, they forge it. I mean, it's not just picking up a whole bunch of pieces and slapping together like I've done with ARs before. These guys really start from the beginning and take it all the way to the end.
Very cool. So give us an idea of what your course entailed.
Well, our course started off with the AKs, and it is the polar opposite of the AR, which is what I'm most familiar with. The AR, if it doesn't almost basically fall into place, stop, you're doing something wrong. And the first thing that really shocked me was the most used tool was a hammer. So it's...
Now, is that like a metal hammer or is that like a rubber hammer?
Both, but the metal hammer, they're not shy with it. Like, there's a lot of beating and brute force involved in some of this stuff.
Just go to town on it, huh?
Big time.
Mainly with the metal hammer, you're using that to set your firing pins and stuff along those lines. When you're doing stuff on the gun itself, you're going to use the other hammer. You're going to be a little bit more gentle with that.
Yeah, the rubber mallet was mainly for the outside of the gun, and on the interior was all metal hammer stuff. And boy, did that get used a lot.
Don't bet. I bet. So you guys are here with Pioneer Arms USA because Pioneer Arms Corporation is exporting, or importing, I guess it would be,
Yep.
to the United States, and that's where your dad, CJ,
Yep.
comes into play. He is is it the president of Pioneer Arms USA, or is he vice president?
I thought he was vice president.
He
but
may
don't
be.
quote me on that.
I mean, we'll call him whatever. But he was on before of our first episode of the AK Corner. But CJ Johnson, Big 3 East, you Leadheads are very familiar with CJ. But I mean, it makes sense. So you guys are going to start servicing the firearms that are coming over to America. That's the whole purpose in bringing you here too.
So basically, it's a lot more
Poland.
cost effective, to do that versus sending it back to Poland to be worked on. So
Yeah, obviously with the amount of product that we're coming to the U.S. with, there is bound to be some sort of failures, not necessarily from production error, but, let's face it, Americans love to abuse guns. And like you said earlier, if you didn't break something, it wasn't a solid range day. So.
Right, yeah, I ended up breaking a RPD, I think. Belt-fed RPD in there.
Somebody had to do it.
Yeah, that's typical left hand. I always break something, but I think you got it repaired. But that's what we're doing today. We're getting a little hands-on, a little trigger time. That's why we're at the range. We've been shooting everything from the AKs to the PPS 43 to what were some of the other guns we were shooting there, guys?
The new PM 63, which is going to be an addition that'll be starting to send over in, what did they say, 3 months from now, Daniel?
I said 2 to 3 months.
2 to 3 months,
2 to 3 months, so we expect maybe 5 to 6. Typical gun talk right there.
I like to be on the optimistic side, but
yeah,
realistically, you're probably right. I mean, the ATF and the paperwork and the way things are going, it's bound to be some sort of snag that nobody foresaw.
They do have some prototypes now, and that's the point that they're at. They've got the prototypes. Now we're going to go off this and see what direction we're going to go and what problems they may have.
Right.
Pushing forward.
We got to shoot one of those in there too, and it was a smooth shooter.
It was very smooth.
Very smooth, yeah.
It surprised
full
me.
Auto. You could hold it with one hand and have no problem keeping it on
Absolutely.
target. So you were talking about ATF and laws and all the things that we face in America, which our listeners are very familiar with, all the obstacles that Americans are going through with all the gun grabbers that are out there. Well, Europe faces the same thing to a much greater extent because they've got a lot of these laws already in place that we're in America fighting right now, and that's where Thomas comes in. So, Thomas, tell us a little bit about you and your organization.
Well, basically, Firearms United is a Europe-wide organization which gathers people who are in the shooting community, gun owners, collectors, reenactors, you name them. Anyone who feels that the right to keep and bear arms is one of our basic rights comes to us and works with us, of course, if they want to. We came into existence around 2013. But we started to actually make a signature on our times around 2015 after the terrorist attacks in Paris, Charlie Hebdo, right?
Right.
Because the European Commission, which is the governing body for the European Union, got a knee-jerk reaction basically. And after
Just
this,
like America.
Absolutely,
Yep.
it's what the politicians do, right?
That's exactly what they take a tragedy and they try to turn it into a political springboard every time.
Yep. And, a knee-jerk reaction from the European Commission was to actually try to put even more laws on the law-abiding citizens at the pretense of fighting the terrorism. Well, if someone can tell me how more regulations for law-abiding citizens will solve a terrorist
criminal
threat,
Yeah.
I'm just failing to grasp it. I'm sorry.
They just don't. How do they not grasp it? I mean, it's the same argument in America is that we have laws already in place. If they would just enforce those laws, then maybe the people would think twice before they broke them. But even then, a criminal is a criminal, and they're going to break a law no matter what. So more laws, this is more laws they're going to break.
That's the one thing. The second thing,
and put law-abiding citizens more at danger.
Yeah, criminal by definition is somebody who's breaking the law. So more laws don't
stop
deter the criminals or the crime.
Yeah.
Right.
And then again, it's enough to take a look at the statistics, right? In the last 2 years in Europe, we had 15 major terrorist attacks. Only 3 of those were performed with the usage of firearms.
Mm-hmm.
2 were
They're using vehicles.
Improvised bombs, and the 10 of them were vehicles.
Yeah.
And I mean, in Nice, in France.
And they're not going after your vehicles.
Absolutely.
Are they?
No, they're not. So tell me, where is the logic? An example which I like to bring up is that in Poland, in my country, during the summertime, 360 people drowned. Is someone trying to do something with the water, which is responsible for 100% of drownings?
Yes,
Right.
we need to ban water. That's a great idea.
Just ban swimming.
Yeah.
You can't swim.
Don't drink it either.
That's how you saw it. You can't do this anymore. That's their mentality. It's like just take away the tangible object, that they think is doing the harm, or take away the water, whatever it may be.
And it's exactly, what is going on in the UK right now, right? First there were bombs, then there were arms, then there were knives. And recently there was a car attack at the outside of the Parliament. And what was the reaction of the Mayor of London? He wants to curb traffic around the Parliament. Well, my idea is maybe he should ban people. Then there will be no one to attack, and the problem solved.
That's actually a pretty reasonable solution. If there's no people, then there's no fighting, and
there's no murders.
Right.
There's no deaths.
There's so many problems.
So let's just ban humanity.
There's no statistics.
Right.
That can be bent and skewed.
There's no talking lead.
There's no talking lead. Yeah, exactly. But we're going to have people. And we're going to have this side and that side. There's always going to be, no matter what you do, there's going to be this side and that side.
Of course.
That's the way it's always been since the beginning of time. But this side and that side, how do you get them to agree and come to terms on things? That's the problem.
Well, I think that the problem for us, for gun owners, is that we've been trying to be too understanding to the other side, and we've been trying to be agreeable. We were making concessions time after time after time.
Right.
And there is a point when you simply need to draw a line in the sand saying, no, step back. I'm sorry. I gave you already so many of my rights that I will not surrender.
And you bring up a great point in America. That's our whole thing where recently, we had that Las Vegas shooting.
Yep.
And they were saying he was using this device called a bump stock.
Yep. I'm familiar with it.
Right. So, and a lot of people in America that, they don't know what the bump stock is because it's not that popular in America. It's really just a gimmick kind of thing.
Yep.
Any real shooter is going to shun that device.
It's just a gimmick. It's a gimmick is all it is. And you can bump fire with anything. You can bump fire with your belt loop. You don't need that device to be able to bump fire. But the gun grabbers took that as an opportunity to say, give us this just give us, because you guys don't even, nobody uses this, and you guys agree with us on that. Why don't you just give us that? Well, it's like you said.
You give an
inch,
you take a mile.
Yeah, you give an inch, you take a mile. And so they wrote up this, this big law that's saying that they're going to ban the bump stocks. Mm-hmm. Well, they kept saying that, but you look at the way it's worded and what it's in there, it's nothing to do with bump stocks. It's anything that increases the rate of fire. Mm-hmm. So that could be a trigger, it could be a buffer spring, it could be a gas tube.
It can be my finger.
It could be your finger, exactly.
Like, look at Jerry Michalczuk and how quickly he pulls the trigger on a revolver. So you're going to...
Jerry Michalczuk?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yes, that's what I meant. Thank you. But, I mean, what are you going to do? Ban his finger? It's too fast?
And I've made that point on the show before. You must listen to the show.
Yes, sir.
Good point. I was going to say, are you going to ban Jerry Michalczuk because he can shoot faster than me? So he is a rate increasing device by definition. But their whole thing is they want to get rid of semi-automatic firearms. That's the whole thing. But if we give an inch under their guise of it's a bump stock that you're giving up, in the mentality of the people, it's like, yeah, go ahead and take that. Okay, sign this bill. Well, look what you just signed away. Uh-huh. They're sneaky little bastards.
Yeah, it's opening the door for more opportunities, for more further restrictions. Honestly, if we spent the time, resources, money, and energy screening the politicians like we do with gun owners and Form 4 especially, wow, would this be a better world. I mean, if the politicians had to be educated in topics before giving speeches,
sure,
wouldn't that solve some issues too?
So Europe, you guys have been like the poster child for us in America. So we've learned from what's happened in Europe, and we see it happening now, and that's why we're fighting so hard not to get to the point where you guys are right now. So give us an idea of the gun laws here now. What does it take to own a firearm in Europe?
Well, again, it depends country on country because we don't have a unified legal code on this one, right? But the fastest for you is to give you an example from Poland, right? They came up... Well, okay, so let me rewind and start.
Okay.
Our basic problem here is that we don't have a Second Amendment, which means that
we have no rights.
Yeah, we have no right. We can get a permission from the government, which sucks big time, right? Because I don't believe that the government is able to actually judge me whether I should or should not have a gun. This is my personal choice.
Right.
I respect the people who...
To defend your life.
Yeah. I respect the people who decide that they don't want to have anything with guns. That's fine. I respect their way of life. I just believe very strongly that their decisions cannot determine the way I lead my life.
Exactly.
And their choices cannot be actually defining my choices.
And
their freedom ends where mine
you
starts.
can put a twist on this and compare it to any, like the gay rights.
Yeah.
In America, it's the exact same argument. It's like their argument was you can't tell me how to live my life and tell me what to do and blah 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 because we want to live our lives this way. And I have nothing against gays. I mean, my lead heads know that. I'm pro rainbow, all that.
Yep.
I don't care. But it's the same. It can fall under the same argument.
Look, the example which I always use is that I'm asking the person who tells me that I should not own the gun. I ask them what kind of a car they're driving.
Sure.
And I ask them about an engine capacity. And usually they say half a gallon or whatever, right? And I say, are you driving mainly to work and from work? Yep. Why do you need half a gallon? A quarter would be enough, right? You don't need more speed. Why do you need, say, a 15-gallon tank?
Why do you need 6 gears?
Yeah.
Why not just 2?
Why do we even need cars? Everybody rode a bicycle, we'd all be a lot fitter.
Yeah. I mean, let's put a 5-gallon tank in a car. You will be just refueling more often, right? I mean, what's the difference?
See, you guys, this is great because you guys have the same arguments that we're battling against in America. But again, you guys are, you're on a different scale than us. Yep. So, what can Americans do to help you guys out? Is there anything that we can do? I mean, I know it's not our country, or we have no say so, but
no, I understand. But we are working with the NRA. We have contacts with them. We're exchanging information. Whenever you've been through some battles, we are getting info on the statistics or how to tackle the arguments. We're feeding the information back from how it goes in Europe. So we work together because we need to. Right, I understand that we're different countries, we have different legal systems, but at the end of the day, We are all people
Same fight.
We're in the same fight against the same people. When I was last year, when I was at the NRA convention, someone said that the only difference between Europe and the US is that you have Soros and Bloomberg. We just have Soros.
That's good. I like that. So where can people find your organization?
Well, we're on Facebook. We have our webpage. We're running conferences. We are right now in the middle of the battle with the European Union and the European Commission, because the way the legal system in Europe works is that the European Commission is actually passing a bill, which is usually stupid and non-enforceable. And then they are pushing it down the throats of the member states of the European Union, telling them you have 15, 18, whatever number of months to implement that into your country legal system. So that's what they did with this firearms directive, right? They published a stupid law, which we diluted as much as we could at the Brussels level. I've spent almost 2 years battling this one. And now it's down to implementation on the country level by the member states. So there are countries who are already fully compliant, like France, for example, or Belgium, who just swallowed the whole thing without saying nothing more but thank you.
No surprise there.
But there are countries like a Czech Republic or Poland or Finland who are living near to the bear, which we're saying no way, Jose.
Yeah.
I mean, Czech Republic wanted to change their constitution to actually be exempted from the directive. They failed at that. Unfortunately, but then they said that we will still not implement this act because we think that this is illegal.
Yeah.
You want to fine us. We don't give a pardon me. Yeah. We didn't care.
You can say that on this show.
Okay.
That's perfectly okay. But yeah, we were, like I said, we were in the Czech Republic yesterday visiting Excalibur, and there was a gentleman there who showed us his firearms collection, which was amazing. The collection that he had full auto weapons there too. He actually showed us one that was used in the assassination of, what was the guy's name? Heydrich.
Yep.
Was his?
Yeah, Heydrich.
Yeah.
He was a SS officer running the show during the occupation from Prague.
There you go. Yeah. Very interesting, but it just seemed like the things that he had there in America. I mean, we can own full auto firearms. I mean, there's a law. There has to be there's a license and
a $200 tax stamp. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing in Europe is that when you take a look at the way we are being played, or how the politicians do try to play us, is that we have these two different levels of governments. We have this Uber government in Brussels, which is European Commission, and we have our all national governments. It's the good parallel would be a federal government and the state government in the US, right? So they are playing this blame game, saying that there is a document, a directive coming from Brussels, which says that you can own a full auto weapon if you have a special permit. It doesn't define how, but it says you can, right? However, the directive is being defined as the lowest minimum required law of the level of the law, right? Which means that each member state can actually make the rules harsher. They can put more restrictions. So they come to you with more restrictions, saying the Brussels told us. But when you analyze the document, it's not like this. We could have a full auto if our own national governments would allow for this. So, this is always this blame the politician, this game the politicians do. And we just need to expose them, and we need to demand our rights.
What are your laws on suppressors here?
See, Poland is a funny thing here, because you can own it legally, you can't use it legally, and you can't buy it legally. Which means that if I want to have a suppressor just for fun of having it, I need to jump to Czech Republic, buy it, and come back. Which is, I know that this
so
is
they don't sell them
stupid.
here.
Yeah, no, they don't sell them because this is illegal. But I can bring it. Yeah, but I can own it. So, that.
Do you have to get a special license or anything to bring it in after you've purchased it?
No.
Wow.
No. So, this is complete craziness, right? This is a law for the sake of a law.
Yeah.
It changes nothing.
Really,
but I just wanted to jump on a subject which you brought some time ago, that you're hearing about all this happening in Europe, right? The best response to this is tell them, yeah, sure, let's take a look at Europe. Let's take a look at Finland and Switzerland.
Sure.
Finland has a 47 guns per 100 citizens, the reserve force, and they have one of the lowest crime rates in the whole Europe.
Yep.
You take a look at the Switzerland. Technically not a member state of the European Union. They're just part of the Schengen agreement, so you can go there without using your passport.
Yeah.
The ID is enough.
But their gun laws are a great example. Go
But
ahead.
the government in Switzerland doesn't know how many guns the citizens own. Why? Because prior to 2000, they didn't even have to register them. So they don't know who owns what guns, in what quantity, what ammunition, nothing. And that's the way it should be.
And they've got one of the lowest crime rates.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And look at this. There are no terrorist attacks in Switzerland, nor in Finland.
That is true.
Well, it sort of begs the question then, what is the variable that those two countries are able to control to keep crime so low with gun ownership so high?
Well, one's their immigration, I would think. They've probably got strict immigration.
I wouldn't say so. I think that Finland and Switzerland are pretty open to immigration. They do control it, but this is not like they are completely closed countries. It's not like this.
Well, no, but they control it, just like you said.
Absolutely.
Whereas in America and some of the European countries,
take a look at Germany.
They call it control, but there's no control there whatsoever. They're just it's a floodgate. Just come on in. Come on in. Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's that in both countries, you have a legal requirements to go through the army service.
Mm-hmm. All citizens, yeah.
All citizens are being trained as soldiers, which creates the proper behaviors towards the weapon, teach them responsibility.
From a young age, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a trick. You have this system going on for generation after generation, and you have a great gun culture, no crime, everyone's happy.
Who could ask for more?
Yep.
Who could ask for anything more? Very good. So, one more time, Thomas, you got a website?
Yes, we
social
do.
media?
Yes.
All
We're
that?
on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. Yep.
Okay. What is it?
It's Firearms United.
Firearms United?
Yep.
Okay. Is it firearmsunited.com or .uk?
Firearms-united.com.
Okay. And they just Google it and they can find it. You guys are on Instagram, Facebook?
Instagram, no. Facebook, yes. Twitter, yes.
Okay.
So you can look at that.
So what's your cause? I mean, your main thing you guys are fighting right now. I know we were talking a little bit off air. You've got something that's hot right now that you guys are...
Well, as I said, for the last 2 years, we've been little on the back foot because we've been hit by this new firearms directive coming from the European Union, which first we diluted. Right now, we're working with the member state governments to actually try to implement them in the way that it will do the least possible damage to the gun-owning community. But after we're done with that, somewhere next year, our plan for the next 5 to 7 years is to actually tackle the Brussels and try to remove the directive from the legal system at all.
Yeah.
Or at least change it in a way which will be favorable to us.
Very good. Daniel, Brian, I want to hear a little bit about the highlights of your class. What's the biggest thing that you've taken away from your armorers course?
Honestly, there is no single biggest thing. I could go on and on and on. And I'd like to give a shout out to Hubert, who went way out of his way to make our stay here comfortable, entertaining.
Hubert and Mike both, yeah.
Well, Michael was with you guys, and Hubert really took good care of. Yeah. I'm not going to speak for Daniel, but I'll say me for sure.
Took care of you.
And
I'll agree with that. Absolutely. I mean, the difference between Americans and Poland and the culture there is, Polish people are so hospitable. I mean, just absolutely in everything they do, they take pride in it. And they
guilty as charged.
Yeah, and it's something that Americans.
You come to Tennessee, buddy. We'll take care of you.
Yeah,
you're not getting the love and care you need. And where are you at, Pennsylvania?
No, it's
whoa.
Yeah, Pennsylvania. Fuck. No. But in general, the Americans, everywhere across the United States, we have different cultures, so to speak, small microcultures here and there, and it's different everywhere. But in Poland, general consensus, like everyone takes pride in the work they do, and they're very, very hospitable. They're genuine. And that's nice as a group of people. It's rare.
People really take responsibility here. I mean, like,
absolutely.
For example, I've worked in auto shops and stuff like that when I was a teen, and you wash your hands and you dry them and you walk away. These people, they wash their hands, and before they go and dry them, they wash out the sink. It's just amazing. Everybody takes responsibility. I've seen well-dressed people in suits that stop what they're doing on the phone to pick up a piece of garbage and walk it over to the trash can.
It's extremely clean.
Yeah, we could really take a lesson.
The Czech was that way. Czech Republic was that way as well. Yeah,
and
very clean.
Going forth with the cleanliness of it, not only is it like that on the streets and stuff like that when you're walking around, the factory that we were working in.
Oh yeah,
immaculate.
It was unreal. I mean, you would come through and a lady would be mopping and cleaning up, and then, maybe you walk back through an hour later, and guess what? It's getting mopped again.
Yeah.
Like for a gun factory, of all factories, it is very, very clean. And the people there, again, take a lot of pride in what they're doing and the product that they're making.
Boils down to is the pride.
But to get back to your original question, what were some of the takeaways? Hubert hooked us up with a guy named Chadmick, and this guy knew his stuff backwards and forwards. He could have sleepwalked through the AK thing, and like I said, I had very little experience with the internal workings before I came here, and in just a matter of a couple of days, we both feel super confident to be able to do just any of the service that would be required. There are some machinery that we'd need to tool up back home in South Daytona.
That's coming though, right?
Oh yeah. But I mean, as far as working with the hand tools, the tricks of the trade, when you do something out of order, like what's the workaround instead of having to take it all over, take it apart and start from the absolute beginning. I mean, he showed us the basics, he showed us the advanced, he showed, hey, this is a failure, this is how you get out of the failure without stripping it down to zero. I mean, he really knew his stuff, and he really knew how to, convey it even through a language barrier.
Very good.
So that was pretty impressive, and we didn't stop with the AK. He used the PPS 43 platform. We spent 2 days doing that too, and we even had a more than an intro, but less than an advanced introduction.
So you guys got a lot in a couple of days.
We got a lot in a couple of days. I mean, we would tear a gun apart from the ground up, and then boom, put it back together. All right, what are we doing? We're doing this again. Yeah. What are we doing? We're going to do this again. And just kept doing it and doing it. And, just speaking for myself, and I'm sure Brian would agree with me, but, that process is ingrained in our brains right now. We could think about it and, okay, well, this step, and visually see it in our mind on how to do this.
Yeah, not only that, I close my eyes and I see the schematic on the inside of my eyelids at this point.
Absolutely. I mean,
that's the way it should be.
It was drilled into us.
And apparently you guys,
exactly.
You accomplished what you came here to do.
Beyond. We are very solid in not only the American platforms for these firearms, but even the European ones. So the things that you can't get in the U.S., like you're talking post-band, full auto, we know those backwards and forwards too. We'll probably never have to service any, but
you never know.
Should they come across the table and need some help, we definitely have them solid.
Absolutely.
Very good.
And a little background on Pioneer. I'm not sure how much has been talked about them on Talking Lead.
A lot.
So,
go ahead and say your piece, then.
My piece of what I've got to say about them. It's really unique in a sense that in America, you'll have factories and stuff, and they outsource a lot of their products that they use. Mm-hmm. Here, everything is made in-house, next to maybe some springs.
Pins, and screws.
Yeah. They make everything in-house.
And even the tools that they need.
Mm-hmm.
Made in-house.
The tools to make the tools the things that they need to be made for the AKs.
What was it, the CNC bits? They were made in-house too, wasn't that right?
Yeah, they were making incredible amount of stuff here,
so
and it's impressive to see this foundry at work and the kind of things that the human ingenuity can bring about.
It definitely left an impression on me as well. Now, I know something else that left an impression on you guys are their convenience stores here, the gas stations.
Yeah, we went.
You guys want to talk about the
Club BP? We ended up at the BP gas station quite a lot. I mean, it's it became almost ritual, and then by the end, I'd feel weird if we didn't make a trip, at least once a day over there.
Yeah, you guys were there. That was kind of your stomping ground, wasn't it?
We were trying to rack up some points, maybe get some free stuff over here at the BP.
At the BP, they got points over there?
No, they didn't, unfortunately.
You found out they didn't, you're like, oh, darn.
It didn't slow us down any, though.
Yeah, but that's another thing, too. I mean, you're talking about the friendliness and the cleanness. Even their gas stations, the bathrooms and everything.
It's immaculate.
Yeah, it's amazing because you think of a gas station bathroom. At least I do because I grew up in the Northeast, and you dread it. It's scary. You kind of hold your breath when you go in there.
Right.
Not these places. It's not only clean, but I mean it's built properly. And it's maintained properly. When something breaks, you don't see duct tape on it. Somebody had removed it, repaired it. And
Thomas can answer this question. Thomas, so the toilets, when you go to the toilet, there's 2 buttons.
Mm-hmm.
What are the 2 buttons for? Why are there 2 buttons?
Well,
no.
There was a smaller
and flushing, right?
Yeah, it's about the difference in flushing, right?
I thought it was a heater. Right?
No, it's
can't wait for my toilet seat to heat up.
To preserve some water, right? For number 1 and number 2, smaller amount of water for number 1 and the larger one for number 2.
Mm-hmm.
That's the design.
So
yep.
the larger one's
for number 2.
Number 2, and the smaller one's for number 1.
Yep.
What if you push them together? Because that's what I've been doing. Because I didn't know.
It just goes for number 2. So
Okay.
you're using more water.
So I'm being a typical
American
wasteful
way.
American.
Typical asshole American.
But you bring up another great point in that not only your water conservation, just with your toilets, but your lights also. I noticed that most places that I've gone in, they have like a sensor, motion sensor for the light, whether you're in or out.
Yep.
And even in the factories that I've been in and toured, the factories are that way also. You turn around a corner, the light's off, then when you hit it, boom, it comes on.
Yep.
So, I mean, you guys are real big into the conservation.
Well, basically, I like to say that we are just still developing our economy after we broke up with the Eastern Bloc in 1989. So we're still not a very rich country. So saving money comes natural to us, right? Because we want to get rich faster.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, absolutely. And even in
that's a good point.
Public convenience stores, your mall, for an example, if you've got a plastic bottle to throw away, you're not throwing that in the trash can. You're throwing it in the recycling can.
Yep.
And paper and cans and everything else.
Yep.
I mean, they take pride in that. And going forth with the water and the flushing and stuff like that, the water here, you definitely
don't drink.
You don't drink it.
Don't drink the tap water.
You don't drink the tap water. And something kind of nice in the culture here is they've got the natural water and the mineral water. And it's common for
the
you
carbonated.
To drink either one, yeah.
The bubbly water. So I've been drinking a lot of the bubbly water, been burping a lot.
I've never had so much seltzer in my life.
Right. Absolutely.
But it's good water. So one last thing that you'd leave with the lead heads about your European experience.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank CJ for inviting me out on this trip. It's an honor to be here. And, I really enjoyed not only the culture and the food. The food is amazing here, but, I mean, the experience and everything else. So,
the food, that's what I was going to talk about. The food is amazing here, and it's plentiful. So I guess is the word I'm looking for. But the Polish food is really good, and Mike has done a really good job in taking us and getting us different taste of different types of cuisine that's in Poland and in the Czech Republic when we were over there as well, trying that out. The goulash is amazing here. Yeah, it's really, really good. They even have sushi here. We had sushi last night.
Oh, wow.
We all had tartar first night.
Tartar. He had a tartar salmon last night.
Yeah, and that was amazing.
Yeah. Tartar salmon. He said that's even better than the steak tartare.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It was salmon on top of like a hash brown with caviar. I mean, does it get any better than that?
I don't think it does. I mean, one thing's for certain. I've gained at least 10 pounds since I've been here.
I'm right there with you. And you know what else? The bacon. They love bacon in their soup. They love bacon in their salads.
Bacon.
I love bacon too.
I like the bacon.
So one thing that is kind of unique to here is like anywhere in America, if you look out across an agricultural field, it's going to be more or less the same crop and just miles of it. Here you're going to have it's like in strip rows. You'll have a row of what's some of the common crops around here? Corn,
apples.
Yeah. Apples. Yep.
Apples are huge. On our way to the Czech Republic, there were apple orchards beyond apple orchards, and then when we got past that, there was corn, just fields and fields and a lot more than I've ever seen in any United States.
Well, Daniel and I were fortunate enough to be able to sample some of these apples, like right off the tree, and wow, non-GMO, growing in, it's phenomenal.
That's to be said for the majority of their produce that's here too. It's all local, fresh stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And we try to preserve it like this. I mean, of course, you have this mass-produced food, right?
Sure.
But still, the vast quantity of food produced in Poland is quite natural from non-GMO resources, which tastes great, is healthy for you. And we are exporting a lot of that to the rest of Europe because they recognize the quality of the food produced in my country.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily affect the price either, you know?
No, not really. No, it's
not like it does in America. They charge like double,
like
yeah.
3 to 4
Healthy.
times.
In America,
for
natural chicken, I mean, is triple the price of a breast of GMO type. So, I mean,
yeah.
Here it's not that way. The quality of the food.
You know, we still have a living tradition in Poland of having these country markets, which are in certain places. Even, you know, you go 30 kilometers outside of Warsaw, which is the capital city where I do live, right? Mm-hmm. Every Saturday morning, I'm going straight to the fresh market when I'm meeting farmers selling this stuff, chickens included, which were killed like 2 hours ago. They're still warm. That's the fresh stuff I buy to eat.
Absolutely.
And that's the way it should be.
No argument here.
So, Thomas.
Yep.
I got to ask you, how old were you when you got your first firearm?
I started pretty late, to be honest. I had my first firearm when I was 40.
When you're 40?
Yes,
okay.
Because, you know, I had this working history when I was working for various corporations, and I've been sent all over the world, basically, Middle East included, for 3.5 years. Mm-hmm. So it was hard for me to get the paperwork all together because I was constantly on the move, right? But when I finally settled back in Poland, I finally made the permit and I had my firearm.
What was your first firearm?
It was a Heckler Koch USP Expert, 9mm.
Nice. You still have that one?
Absolutely, sir.
Absolutely, of course you do. And what have you added since then?
You know,
armory.
Another USP in 45, 2 or 3 ARs, Daniel Defense, POF. What else? I have, of course, AK platform. I have Mossberg shotgun.
Do you have full auto? Do you have that license for full auto?
No, I don't have a license for full auto.
Now, is the full auto, because we've got the post-ban thing after a certain year that it was made, you can't own it. You know, it's got to be made before a certain year.
No, that goes for a black powder weapons, right? I mean, the law says that if you have an actual gun or a replica of a gun designed before 1885, then you can own it without a permit.
Okay.
So this is the only category of a gun you can have
without
in Poland without a permit. You just go to the store, you buy it.
But the full auto permit that you get, is there any restrictions on the age of the full auto? So you get a brand new full auto?
No, there is no restriction, absolutely.
Nice.
And it's being used, you know, for some training companies, right?
Sure.
They get the so-called training permit, and then they can get the full auto for their operations.
Okay. Do you have any military or law enforcement background?
Myself, no.
Okay.
You know, no. Speaking of permits here, I heard that there's all different levels of concealed weapons permits, from security to sporter to things like that. Do you know any of those on details?
Well, you know, basically, because we have different kinds of permits, right? So you can have a collector's permit, you can have a sport shooter permit, you have a self-defense permit, and some others. But the most popular ones are the sport permits because they are easiest to get. You just need to sign up to a club, participate in number of competitions per year, and then you're good. Of course, you need to pass the exam from knowing the law, get through a psychological evaluation. Don't go into this way in the US if you can avoid it. It's just
we don't have those.
Yeah, and again, it's just a check of a point in time. It doesn't give you too much. It just costs you money and create a financial barrier to get your paperwork.
Does the psychological test come into play for all the types of license that you have? For every one of them?
Yes.
Okay.
And so for the self-defense permit...
Well, let me interrupt you and go back to the sporter for a second here, because my understanding with the sporter permit is you can carry a concealed pistol. However, you are not allowed to carry with a bullet in the chamber, which is insane to me.
Then again, you were misinformed.
Oh, really?
Yes. I'm carrying... I have a sport license. I'm carrying one in the chamber.
But you're not carrying concealed?
I'm carrying concealed. I had it under my shirt.
Okay.
So when you have a sport shooter permit or a self-defense permit, this is absolutely legal in Poland to carry it concealed, loaded with a bullet in the chamber.
Okay. I was
You need to re-educate your source.
Well, no. He had a sporting
No,
permit.
we're not naming names.
Okay.
We're not naming
well,
names.
no, but he told me that he never carried with a bullet in the chamber.
Well, I heard that too. I was there when he said that too.
Okay, right. And I inquired why. And
no, because again, I'm not gonna say about the particular people, but the change which allowed for that is quite recent. It's from 2014, so some people still didn't catch up that they are allowed to do so.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, otherwise, what's the point of carrying a gun if it's not loaded?
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So, new guy questions. We're continuing.
and it's always. I had this conversation sometimes with people who say, well, I don't want to carry it with the one in the chamber because
we have that same argument in America.
Because I'm not feeling confident. My answer is get more training.
Yeah, get more training.
Well,
get
more
or
confident.
just don't carry one in the chamber. That's fine.
Yeah.
Train to chamber it when you pull. That's okay. People train that way, and that's okay. Just like people who aren't comfortable carrying a firearm shouldn't carry a firearm.
Absolutely.
It's like you were saying earlier. I don't want to impose something on you that you don't want or you're not comfortable with.
Yep.
So, when it comes to pop culture, what's your go-to that's firearms related? Whether it's a book, a movie, a TV show, maybe a song, maybe a video game. I don't know if you're a gamer.
Probably will surprise you, but I think that for me, there are two movies which I go back to very often. One is a cliche. It's a Full Metal Jacket.
Okay.
Love it. Classic.
It's a universal movie. Right?
Army. Love that movie.
Absolutely. And then another one which I really like, which is on a lighter note. It's Clint Eastwood, Heartbreak Ridge.
Heartbreak Ridge. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
wow. Yeah.
Improvise, adapt, overcome.
What was the guy's name that was in that? Bionic Marine. He was the guy that played the music.
Yeah. Can't remember the name.
Bionic Marine. And then the Swede.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah. I love the movie.
That's classic.
Yeah.
Those are two good ones, man. Good pull. So what is your next bucket list gun? What do you want to have?
I'm actually have a design which lays with my gunsmith for a long-range shooting platform at the .308 caliber, because I want to go into long-range shooting.
Nice.
But it will be custom.
Precision.
It will be custom made for myself. So
there was a guy here earlier that was showing us some long-range precision stuff that they do here, competitions. Laws be damned, rules be damned. Money, you could own anything that you wanted. What would you own?
Oh wow!
No limits.
Barrett light, 1/2 inch.
What is it?
Barrett.
The 50 cal?
Yep.
The Barrett 50 cal?
Yep.
Okay. That's
just for the fun of it.
Just for. Can you not have those here?
Nope.
Is it because of the caliber?
Yes, it's a caliber. We have a caliber limitation up to 12 millimeters for sport shooters.
Oh,
right?
Gotcha.
Okay.
But we're just working on some changes in this area. Fingers crossed.
Okay. Very cool. Is there a firearm in your collection, in your arsenal, that maybe you're a little ashamed to admit that you own?
Nope. No such thing. Nope. Every guns are beautiful.
There you go. That's a good answer.
Yep.
If you could spend the day at the range with anyone or any group of people, alive, dead, fictional, even. And we know you pick Clint Eastwood, but don't pick Clint Eastwood.
Well, then we have to go back to another movie, right? R.E. Emery.
Arlie Army?
Yep.
Yeah.
Unfortunately deceased recently.
Yeah, he just
Lord
passed away.
take
But
his
we can
soul.
bring him back.
Yes.
In this scenario, he is back with us.
Absolutely. And then I want to spend a day with him.
Very good. So you don't know this because you never listened to the podcast, but he does the introduction to one of our segments. It's called the Jackwagon Train.
Okay.
And that's somebody who we point out that has done something stupid or embarrassing, not particularly to the the 2A community or gun owners, but pretty much just anybody.
Okay.
So if you were to throw somebody in the Jackwagon train right now, who would you want to throw in the Jackwagon train that the gunny could haul off for you?
The whole bloody European Commission. So you'll have a bunch of them.
We got a big train.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a big train. Very
no,
good.
I mean, just to, again, I don't want to go back to this in full details, but just to give an example from where we've been starting with the original proposal of this firearms directive coming from Brussels. They wanted to put a total ban on any firearm, quote, which visually resembles a one which is fully automatic.
Scary.
Which means everything.
Everything, yeah.
Looks like full auto, right?
My finger looks like full auto.
Yeah.
You got some scary fingers, Marty.
I do. I got some jacked up fingers.
So that was the level from which we've been starting
Yeah.
our uphill battle with those guys.
Right.
And we're not nearly finished, right? And we'll continue. But that gives you an example, again, to what we've been telling before. Give them an inch, they take the mile. That's their approach. They want the salami tactics.
Exactly how it's working in America. Yeah.
And that's their agenda. Don't get yourself fooled.
Yeah. So if there's is that the bit of information, the little tidbit that you would give Americans?
Absolutely.
Don't give them an inch, right?
Nope.
Very good.
Ever.
Tomasz, it's been great speaking with you. Thank you for taking the time to be on the Talking Lead podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And one more time, where can they get in touch with your organization?
Facebook, Firearms United, or our Firearms United webpage. Just Google us. We're there. We're active. We're fighting for your rights.
Check them out, Leadheads, Firearms United. Go show them the American support. Daniel, Brian, thank you guys so much for being on. I know that I'll have you guys on in the future.
Yeah, I hope so. I've always wanted to be on the show. It's a real honor to be here.
And Tomasz, I would love to have you on again.
Absolutely.
Keep us up to date on the fight here, and we'll collaborate and work hand in hand every way we can.
I'll be back.
That's nice. Perfect way to end. I like that. Actually, I want you to do my sign off that I do with me. So I'll say, when I close all my shows, I say, and as always, Leadheads, keep your loved ones close. And then my guest will say, and your firearms closer. Okay. And then we'll let him do it, and then I want you guys to do it. Okay, we're going to do two. And say your name.
Tomasz?
Yeah. If you want to put your last name in there, you can.
Okay. Tomasz Stepien.
Tomasz with the organization you're with. And keep your firearms closer. And as always, Leadheads, keep your loved ones close.
And your firearms closer. Tomasz with Firearms United.
Perfect. And you guys do it in unison. Just say, this is Daniel, this is Brian. Keep your firearms closer. And if you want to put a twist, your AK or whatever you want to, you can do that. And as always, Leadheads, keep your loved ones close.
And your firearms closer. Brian Papula, Big 3, Pioneer Arms.
And Daniel Johnson, Pioneer Arms.
All right, Leadheads, we are back, and this is the Talking Lead European Vacation. And what's the name of this range?
Give me half a second. I grabbed their card.
So as you can hear, I've got new guests now joining me here at this gun range that we don't know the name of.
It's a beautiful gun range, though.
It is. It's an awesome gun range. We're looking for a card that has it on it.
How do you pronounce this, Michael?
Strzelnica FSO.
There you go. That's where we're at.
That's where we're at.
I'm not even going to attempt that.
Szczebrzeszynie brzmi chrząszcz w trzcinie.
But it's basically, we were told that this is the largest indoor range in Europe.
In Europe? I thought it was just Poland, but all of Europe
is what they claim. I don't know if it is or not, but it's a gorgeous facility.
We know how people do that in America. They make those false claims. But let's go around the table and introduce ourselves.
Hi, I'm David Fortier from Firearms News Magazine, Outdoor Sportsman's Group.
I am Robb Manning from Gun World Magazine, Editor-in-Chief, Engaged Media.
And I am Mike Michalczuk, the President of Pioneer Arms Radom, Poland.
There he is, Mr. Mike himself, our consummate host. He has ingratiated us with all the culture and sites and everything of this part of Europe, Poland, Czech Republic. Where else did we go? I mean, we went so many places. I didn't know where we were half the time.
We had a whirlwind travel, didn't we?
We did. Flew in on Saturday. Today, as we're speaking, this is Friday? I don't even know what day it is. I think it's Thursday or Friday.
Friday.
It's Friday. So we head out tomorrow. So this is our last day, and what a bang for last day. So let's talk about, let's kind of recap our week that we've had as media folk. I'll start with you. Just kind of start us off on our day one when we get to the airport.
Well, we all flew over together from Chicago, and we flew into Warsaw, had a great flight over. It was cloudy, a little bit rainy when we got off the plane and walked out through customs. And then we headed to Rotterdam, which is about hour and a half drive, and checked in for the night. And then the next day we had a chance to go through the Pioneer Arms facility. Now, I've been to a number of AK manufacturers, Zastava, Izmash. I've talked to Israelis who build the Galil. Talked to a lot of different companies that build AKs, and they all say it's an extremely difficult rifle to build. And I think a lot of Americans will admit to that it's a very difficult rifle to make. So it was really interesting to have a chance to go through the Pioneer Arms facility.
Yeah, and we got to see step by step every part of the AK, everything. I mean, it made it look simple.
What's amazing is we always think of the AK having loose tolerances, but it was eye-opening for me to see how the process is actually a very precise process. The casting and machining, everything is extremely precise, and I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, it is. And this is Mike's company, Pioneer Arms Corporation. As you guys know, they are the sponsors of the Talking Lead AK Corner, which episode coming soon, so stay tuned for that, Leadheads. Talk about your company. How'd you get started with Pioneer Arms Corporation in the AK business?
We started Pioneer Arms in 2001, and in the beginning we were doing the different products. We were making side-by-side double-barrel shotgun, and we were pioneers in this because this was the first side-by-side shotgun built in Poland.
Thus Pioneer Arms, right?
Yeah, it is. Yes, that's why it's Pioneer.
Yeah.
So our first, this was cowboy action shotgun. In about 2007, 2008, we decided to go into the AK production. We bought complete documentation for the AK platform as well for other products like PM63, PPS, from the government-appointed liquidator who was selling the Plant 11, actually piece by piece, machinery, everything what Plant 11 was producing. So we got the complete technical documentation as well the rights to produce AK and those other firearms.
Very important to have that.
Yeah. Exactly. Going back a little bit, what you were guys saying about the tolerances and how you we're looking at our plant. Of course, AK is the gun who allows in some aspects, the tolerances. It works better in dust, mud, but there are some critical tolerances you cannot omit. Mm-hmm. And if you will do that, the gun will fall apart after a few hundred rounds. So that's important for all of the AK home builders to be
aware of that.
Of course.
Right. As they're getting these part kits from who knows where.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
You never know what's good and what's not good.
Critical tolerance, for example, it's on between, there's 2 holes in the bolt carrier. And I don't know how much it would be in standard, but in metric it's 0.05 millimeter, the distance between the center of the hole for the recoil mechanism and the hole for a bolt head.
Right.
If this is not done properly, expect the gun to fall apart.
It's going to have failures.
Exactly.
Right. Very good. So you guys are into, like you said, doing the AKs now. You have plans to do some other things in the future, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But let's talk about our European trip, guys. It's been my first time in Europe. I know you guys have been to Europe before. Dave, you've been here through media means. Yep. Were you here with the military?
No.
Oh, Rob?
No, I was here on. Let me back up.
Maybe we can't talk about Rob's military experiences either. I forget he's secret squirrel. So
I don't know what you're talking about. I was actually here. My wife is in the Army Reserves, and we lived for 3 months in Germany and did all the tours, all the different countries and all that. And we did have the pleasure of coming to Poland only for a day, but had a great time. And so when I first found out about this trip to Poland and that I'd be able to return and sample the delicious food.
The cuisine.
The cuisine is incredible.
We were talking about that earlier when I had Brian and Daniel on and their gas station cuisine.
Yeah.
They're the BP Club, I think, is what they call it.
That's been a running joke all week.
Yeah.
Brian loves the gas station.
Yeah, and their gas stations here are really nice. We were talking about how clean and
I think
the food they have is really good too.
I think it's so many Americans never leave the country, and they don't have a chance to get out and see other parts of the world. And even to this day, Eastern Europe is a little bit of a mystery still. And so it's always interesting to get Americans over here and have them look around and see what it's actually like. And it's a little bit of a surprise, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so. So back to our first day, we did the tour of Pioneer Arms Corporation. What's one of the main things that you took away from that tour, David?
Well, what I wanted to see was the foundry, okay? Because there's a lot of controversy in the United States as far as cast parts versus forged, and to actually go in and to see how they cast the parts. It's all in-house. They've got their own state-of-the-art foundry that they set up. So I wanted to really have a chance to poke around there and go through their paperwork and see exactly how they do stuff.
Yeah, that was very interesting. And you're talking about the mixture, that you guys have a recipe, to liken it to a cook.
We have fully controlled process, and we're not like a regular pouring house. We do own recipe for the steel, and we control the steel on every stage of the pouring. And also we work out our own recipes who give the strength of regular bullet material. So,
yeah. And your quality control was very impressive too. I mean, you guys have checks upon checks.
We X-ray every part, every critical part is 100% X-ray. You were able to see we have live X-ray machine,
right,
which shows the interior,
any inclusions or anything
exactly,
like that. Yeah,
exactly.
But even your recipe, you like triple check it. You triple check that recipe before you make the pour.
Yes, yes. We triple check it with the samples, and we this is our own recipe. It took us over the year to get right chemical components to achieve the steel alloy we want to have it.
Yeah. What about you, Rob?
Yeah, that's what's impressive to me is the quality control that we saw there. They do almost everything in-house, with the exception, I think you said, a couple springs.
Yeah. Springs.
Other than that, they have control of the entire process. And to get to watch, stamping the receivers and pouring the castings, that was all very impressive. Yeah. We even got to feel the heat from the casting. I mean, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was. We got to video it too. So you guys make sure you go to these guys' social medias and check out the post that they've done from our trip. And let's give that to them now so they can go ahead and start looking while they're listening to us on the podcast here.
For Firearms News, www.firearmsnews.com.
And then Instagram is @firearmsnews.
Yes,
and
it is.
Facebook is we got their social media guy right over here. He's filming us right now.
Joe Kriz.
Joe Kriz in the house. We ran out of microphones, but we'll get Joe on. He's not going to get away. We'll get him on.
I heard that him and Dave wanted to share a microphone.
What about Gun World?
We are at gunworld.com, and our Instagram is gunworldmagazine.com, and Facebook is facebook.com/gunworld.
And their magazines are all over the newsstands.
A lot of people don't know it, but I actually got my start at Gun World in 1998.
Really?
Yep.
There you go.
A lot of the, for those that don't know, Gun World has been around since 1959. We're about to hit our big anniversary coming up. But you can find us in print, digital, pretty much anything. But as Dave was saying, a lot of writers actually got their start there at Gun World, which when I took over as editor, I found to be pretty interesting. A lot of the guys that I respect and a lot of the huge names in the industry started there.
Very cool. It's a small industry.
It is.
Don't burn those bridges. So personally, I I mean, I thought the whole thing was amazing. As you longtime leadheads know, Zeke and I did a video a while back where we went to a 1911 factory, and they had the foundry, and they did all the stuff in house there. It reminded me of that process. It's a very similar process, but what really impressed me with Mike's operation is, again, the quality control that he has there. That impressed me. The cleanliness, how clean it was, even in the foundry. I mean, you could lay down on that floor and it was fine. There's nothing wrong with it. The very fine tune work that you're doing on some of that, the hand. We went through and the workers were hand filing down and making sure all the burrs and all the imperfections were out. Just the detailed quality was very impressive to me, and that was my big takeaway from it. So we did that, and then you're going to have to. This has been a long week. So what did we do next?
Okay, well,
what was our next big
one
thing?
of the interesting things is that, of course, is that Pioneer Arms is now their home is in what used to be Fabrica Brony Factory 11. Okay. Which was this huge, sprawling facility dating from 1922.
Government owned, right?
It was a huge state arsenal, okay? And you have to think about this was in the time when the Polish Standing Army was, in the millions and stuff, okay? Mm-hmm. So huge, sprawling facility compared to what we think about today. And very, very historic area. And so Joe and Rob and I, we had a chance to sneak out and actually go through some of the old historic buildings that are still standing.
Yeah.
They've been abandoned. Well, I'm not going to say they've been abandoned, but they're empty. They're not being used any longer.
They're not being used right now, yeah.
And so we had a chance to go through and actually explore some of these buildings. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
Anytime you're sneaking through a window of somewhere you're not supposed to go, it's always a good time.
When you're doing something you're not supposed to do and you're getting away with it, it's a good time.
It was really impressive to growing up during the Cold War. To me, it was really neat to be able to go in and you can kind of picture the facility, what it might have looked like then. There was still some old paint. Some of it was flaking off, but you kind of see what it used to look like, and that was a really neat experience for me. That was actually one of the highlights of the week. I think it was really neat.
And just the amount of lives that, spent so many years there working and stuff. Every day going in and working on these different machines here.
The longevity of the employees that are there.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys did the tour. I didn't get to go on the little sightseeing tour of the historical buildings.
You were too busy working.
I burnt out. So you guys hear that buzzing in the background. I had to borrow a mixing board because there's this thing that you don't do in Europe with American equipment. It's like plugging in their outlets without a converter. So
not an adapter, but a converter.
Not an adapter, but a converter. It will burn your battery. So
the magic smoke comes out.
Yeah. So if you guys still hear that buzz, I apologize. I'll get that cleaned up as much as possible. But so we did that. You guys did that, and then
we loaded up.
We had some great cuisine that night.
Had some great cuisine, and then we loaded up and we headed to the Czech Republic.
Headed to the
first before
we went to PAK.
That's right. First we went over there to look at their huge inventory of armored vehicles and stuff.
Yeah, and the name of that company,
that's PACO.
PACO,
mm-hmm.
And it's PA-KO. KO.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, I thought it was A. It's an O. Okay, well that's my mistake, and that's Christoph and Pavlov.
Christoph and Pavel. Christoph and Pavel Jóźwik.
Okay. I was calling him Paul.
Okay.
So
it's fine.
So I wouldn't mess it up, but I have a little trouble with all those consonants. But operation, like you said, a huge military surplus that these guys are bringing in.
Yeah, and when we say military surplus, we don't mean like bayonets and magazines and stuff. This is like tanks.
Heavy equipment,
BMPs, BRDMs,
anti-aircraft artillery, all
bridges.
Kinds of stuff.
Yeah, bridges,
rows, bridges. And acres of 5-ton trucks.
Yeah, that was just impressive in and of itself. Now, these guys are in collaboration with another company that was in the Czech Republic that we went to.
Excalibur,
and we're going to get to that in a minute. But some of this surplus stuff that they did have some, the crate stuff that we went in, some of the smaller stuff.
Yeah.
And
night vision devices.
The night vision. To talk about that. That was amazing.
Okay, so you have to understand that when you start poking around in some places like this, you just never know what you're going to find. So 1 minute we could be looking at 1950s Soviet 5-ton trucks, and I can be poking on, the 10,000-pound winches that they have. And then you go around a corner and there's some other treasure from the Cold War. And we were walking along and Marty's like, hey, check this out. And there's this huge bin of metal containers, and we pop one open, and they're the old 1950s, 1960s active IR night vision devices.
Yeah.
They're the helmet-mounted devices. You got a set of binoculars that you tilt down, and you'd be able to see using the infrared searchlights off the vehicle.
And Dave tried one on.
Well, of course, everyone's like, "Yeah, you got to put it on. You got to put it on."
And it's that they look very comfortable. I mean, the padding, they've got those huge paddings.
Well, it's basically the typical Soviet tanker style helmet, and they've got it. They balance it just like
you wore it well. You did.
Well, that's because I'm so handsome, right? But they balance it just like people do today with modern night vision, in that they have a battery pack on the back. And then they have the flip-up night vision on the front. So you got a pair, binocular night vision that you flip up out of the way when you don't need them, and flip them down when you do.
And we've got a great Polaroid of that, so check the Instagram. There's a picture. You didn't get away without getting a picture.
No. And
it's recorded history.
What were some of the things that stood out to you, Rob?
Well, initially in the Marine Corps, I was an anti-tanker, so the armor was neat. But one little hidden gem that I found, to me, that I thought was interesting was the radar array for an SA-2 SAM missile. I thought that was pretty neat.
That's
that's not something that you just see every day, and if you did see it, most people wouldn't know what it was.
The stuff that I've been looking at for decades, it was so neat to be able to climb on it and climb in it and look at the details and look underneath it. The drop-down wheels on the BMP or on the BRDM, stuff like that. It's really neat. I never dreamed I'd be able to do something like that.
Well, that's the thing, too, though. With Rob's anti-armor background, it was just interesting the type of things that he'd come up with looking, say, at the T-72s, where he would break into, this has got this. Or when we were looking at the T-55s, and the T-54, 55 series is
we're talking about tanks now, guys.
Talking about tanks.
Yeah.
And he was quick to point out why it was which model it was due to the return rollers on it. So it was just interesting walking around with him looking at different things.
Yeah, being able to spot it just like that and identify it. Yeah.
That's what's amazing about this trip, is that we have people that are experts in different areas, and just the wealth of knowledge I've gotten from Dave is just incredible.
Yeah, he's like our encycloppedia.
He is a walking encyclopedia.
He's like our Google. He's a walking Google.
Filled with useless info.
So that's not your first time being there, obviously.
Of course not.
At that facility. But you are friends and business associates with...
Yeah, Christoph is my business associate, and through him I work with Excalibur Army, and we supply with Christoph our product to Excalibur Army. That's all small caliber in right now AKMS style.
Okay, because basically 90% of all the small arms produced at Pioneer are actually for military export sale.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
yes,
so
only a small percentage is coming to
as a commercial.
In the United States.
Yes. As capacity allow us to do the commercial, we shipped some guns, but basically major capacity is dedicated towards the military market.
Right. So you and Paco
yeah.
and Excalibur are putting together package deals for military
customers,
bodies, entities.
Yes.
So let's get into Excalibur. So these surplus vehicles are coming into Christoph's place, and then Christoph is then sending them over to Excalibur, which Excalibur, another mind-blowing,
huge sprawling facility
here. So who wants to talk? You want to tell us about Excalibur Arms, Mike? Just in a nutshell, who they are, what they do.
That's privately owned company, Czech company. They have right now about 80 different enterprises in the group.
Wow.
They own Tatra truck company. You've seen it at Olomouc, or actually Stenberg, which is the next to the Olomouc. Stenberg is the place where we've been together.
Mm-hmm.
And these are huge, modern, off-road trucks.
Yes, exactly. And I am just amazed how in the short period of time these guys were able to build such huge Excalibur Army. That's the name,
Yeah, Excalibur Army. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah. So what they're doing is Christoph is sending him these vehicles, these surplus vehicles that are in
surplus condition.
Yeah, they're in less than perfect condition, and they are refurbishing them to better than new.
They basically strip it down. Almost every part is taken off it, and it goes from surplus. And then in 3 months, they put it all together, and it's basically a brand new vehicle that comes out of it. It's pretty remarkable.
Actually, remember what the guy was saying, that basically the vehicles which are coming out right now are better than originals.
Better than the originals.
Well, that's due to the quality control. But yeah, we had a chance to literally see, from start to finish, where a surplus, scrapped out BMP shows up, and it's a non-running state.
Rusty.
And for those who don't know what a BMP is, Rob, tell us what a BMP is.
BMP is a tracked armored personnel carrier used by the Soviet Union and client countries.
Very low to the ground, low profile.
Very low to the ground. It's got pretty decent firepower. Just to put in, it's similar to perhaps like a Bradley, except way shorter, like half the height. But it's got a little bit of firepower, but it's designed to mostly carry troops into the battlefield.
Very cool.
And we had a chance to see them go from that state to be completely stripped down to bare metal, every single part on the vehicle removed, and then the vehicle goes through a process where the hull is, stripped, sandblasted, repaired if any repairs need to be made on the vehicle, repainted, and then all the original components are replaced on it. So all your interior parts, all the hoses, the electrical, the optics, the electronics. So
everything. And they have the ability there too, if the part's no longer good, they
have to make new ones.
They manufacture their own parts there too.
But what was interesting though was the level that we're talking about, where, there's a lot of companies where they will get armored vehicles in and they'll do an engine rebuild and throw some paint on it. That's not what we're talking about here. When we went through their engine shop, where they completely rebuild the engines, replace everything that needs to be replaced, then they take them out and they dyno them. So they actually put them on a dyno, verify
calibrate everything.
They calibrate everything, and then one of the things that they do is they do an endurance run on them, make sure that everything's working properly before it ever gets put into the vehicle.
Yeah,
it's 8-hour test
for one engine. Yeah.
Yep.
So we got to see that process, which was again mind blowing and amazing. They're doing that with the BMPs. They're doing it with the tanks,
the T-72s.
T-72s.
Well, and some of the weapon systems they're upgrading, or optic systems, whatever, for certain client countries if they want to upgrade it, and they actually have their own model, I would call it, of some of the vehicles. And I don't know how much we can get into on this, private company.
But we'll just say, they had a modern BMP.
Yeah, so it'd basically be a BMP, but completely modern components. So you're not talking about like a 1960s era BMP. You're talking about a 2018 era BMP.
Yeah, it's an Excalibur Army version.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's one.
I want one.
One of a kind that only they make. You can get from them.
Yeah.
So yeah, and they're obviously supplying to military and private collectors.
Mostly military.
Mostly military, but yeah, some private.
I'm going to talk to my boss and see if Gun World can get one.
That would be nice.
T&E.
Yeah. I'm thinking maybe a new lead sled. We'll just turn it into the lead.
You'll have to wrap it.
Maybe we could go in on one together, guys.
There you go.
We could do that. I think there's enough room for all our logos on one of those.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So we went, like you said, from start to finish, each process. Great tour guide. It wasn't George. Was it George?
Yes.
Jan. George. George and John.
Yeah.
We had two.
But George started.
George started us off. George is the one that had the awesome gun collection.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that real quick in just a second. But so then we had the opportunity to see a finished product fire.
Yep, we went up to a test range where they're doing a test on the coaxial machine gun and the 73 millimeter main gun. What did you think of that?
What is there not to say? I mean, it was pretty awesome. There's like 4 media guys in the group, and we all had cameras and video cameras,
we were
and
geeks,
just there's like 8 different
out.
cameras going, I think. But yeah,
you know what I was more geeked out about was that bunker we were in.
Yeah.
Did you see some of the equipment and stuff that was in
Sure.
that bunker? That was amazing. I mean, they're still using the 1950s. Probably older than that, wasn't it? Some of that stuff.
Well, that wasn't
Equipment.
it was an original manufacturer for the BMP, so they had some original test equipment for the range.
Yeah, I got some pictures of that. Did y'all get some pictures of that equipment
Yep.
that's in there? Yeah, it was very
Yes,
cool.
we did.
So they fired the machine guns. They fired the cannon. Got an opportunity to see all that. But then,
Dun dun dun.
the Sunday Punch. They took us out to the track.
Yep.
And we got to test
Bucket
drive.
list stuff right here.
We got to roll coal in a BMP.
Yeah, we did. We were rolling. We were kicking dust. It was awesome. So first they had their experienced guy take us for a little ride around the track. He was tossing us around a little bit, rattling our cages.
Well, that's one of the things too, is that the BMP ride's a little bit unique in over rough terrain. It's not like a Bradley. It has kind of a rolling gait to it, like being in a 24-foot lobster boat and kind of heavy swells.
Yeah.
And you got to kind of get your sea legs about you.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I didn't think it was that bad of it was smooth, I thought, for the most part. If you're standing up, it was really rough, but then you and I sat down in it, and it was a completely different ride.
Completely different ride.
It was nice.
Yep.
And he probably didn't hit the top gear, did he? He probably just kept it in second.
No, he was definitely out of second.
You think he hit third?
Yeah.
A couple of times?
Yeah.
I know he did on the last track. Did you do the last lap, Joe?
With the smoke, they were flying.
Yeah, they were really flying.
He said they were doing donuts and just hauling.
We all bailed on that one. We were trying to get the pictures.
Yeah.
But we each got an opportunity to actually drive the BMP in it. It was easy to drive. It was a lot easier than I was expecting.
Yep.
It was the clutch.
Well, the instruction was good where they sat us down and they went through the complete operational procedure for it, textbook style, and verified that everyone knew exactly what was going on, and then one after the other.
Yeah.
Roll some coal.
Yet I still popped the clutch a little fast that first time.
Well,
you were getting some air. I think you were just trying to do a wheelie. That's what you're just showing out a little bit. But yeah, that was amazing to have that opportunity. Not very many people get that.
They handle nicely, don't they?
They do.
That clutch is smooth, and I mean that sucker will turn on a dime.
Yeah, that steering is just you just
barely touch it.
You just breathe and it'll turn.
A lot of fun.
It was. It was a great
How many
thing.
people-
We didn't break anything. That's what I was amazed about.
Nope, not on the BMP.
Not there. So, what else? That's all we did there, right?
Well, we did a lot there, but
I know,
that finished it up.
So that finished up our Excalibur Army.
Yeah, we had some sightseeing. We had some excellent sightseeing in
The Czech Republic.
And then
we had a great tour guide. Can't remember his name. Who was our tour guide? Anyway, that guy was great.
George took us to his little weapon.
Oh yeah, let's talk about George. Let's talk about those weapons
talk about
because
that.
I've got a lot of people on social media talking about those guns that we've been posting. So George was one of the workers there. He has a collector's permit, and we talked about the different kind of permits earlier with Thomas. And amazing collection. But the one he had a little piece of history. You guys talk about that gun real quick.
That was actually hold on.
You got to pull up the name. You got to get the name right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get it right.
I was messing it up earlier. So
Okay, I agree.
You're not actually going to.
here I'll get to that. So we walk into George's storage room. Yeah, I don't know if that was his house or what, but in his gun room. And then immediately you see
this wall of sniper rifles and other assorted things.
Right, and then you peek to the right, and he's got some Western shooters, some cowboy shooting guns.
From, cowboy action
six
shooting.
Guns. And
he had Schofields, he had Winchesters, he had, open top Colt cap and ball revolvers. He had a really nice collection across, because you've got that on one side, then he's got PSL sniper rifles, M76s, he's got Mosin sniper rifles, SVT-40 sniper rifle.
Everything you'd ever want. And then he comes out with this one piece.
All right, so and there was actually a movie made on this, and it's Operation Anthropoid, and it was Czech Resistance, a couple of guys, I'm not even going to say their name because I know I'm going to butcher it. You can look it up online, but so basically, Reinhard Heydrich, which was one of Hitler's main guys, was in charge. He was the Nazi that was looking over or in charge of or whatever of the Czech Republic.
One of the top dogs in the Czech.
Yeah. And so they went to assassinate this guy, and so this was the Sten gun that we got to hold. This was the gun used in the assassination. So correct. So they went to shoot the gun. The gun actually jammed. So they didn't kill him with this gun, but when the gun jammed, then they lobbed a grenade into his truck. And he later died of injuries, but
from the
to be able to hold that famous gun.
That gun was there.
That's a piece of history right there. Because I saw the movie a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
I remember that scene. I remember that scene too, yeah.
Yep.
That's very cool.
I wrote a CZ guidebook, and that was some of the research I did was on that event. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, it was. To hold that was the actual gun.
I was crapping my pants. Just that piece of history.
It was very cool. So that was another highlight. Something that we never thought we'd get to do is boom was that, and that just kind of just presented itself. So that was awesome. And then we did some sightseeing of the Czech Republic. Beautiful architecture. Again, nighttime, so we got to see the lights. A lot of the lights. We walked.
We had a great tour guide. Told us about all kinds of different things as far as the history dating back. We had a good conversation with him as we just explored.
Yeah. And then the next day, we had another day of sightseeing. Mike took us around Krakow.
Yeah, that was a travel day, okay, where we had we loaded back up in the venerable van with all our gear and stuff. We struck out across country.
Can't believe we haven't nicknamed that van yet.
No, but, we drove all the way back to Krakow and explored the old city.
Yeah, and it again breathtaking,
stunning.
Yeah, I mean, there's no.
Went to see the castle,
the museum, and the castle. Yeah,
the museum that we could not take pictures of the awesome weapons in.
Yeah, the armory.
But some of us got a few pictures.
Someone snuck one.
So there might
legally.
There might be one or two that sneak on Instagram. So you guys take a peek of that, but. To see the royalty, the history of the royalty that was part of that castle there.
City of the Kings.
The saddle, those guns.
The double-barreled gun that was mounted on the sword.
Yes.
So we got the zombie bayonet that people mount onto like your Glock. But no, this was a sword that had a double-barrel flintlock gun on it.
Actually, it was actually a wheel lock.
Right.
It was a wheel lock. Yeah, they were preparing for the zombie apocalypse way before.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. Us. Yeah. So that was a great tour. And then again, we had some amazing cuisine.
Yep.
We got our souvenirs. Everybody got their souvenirs for their significant others and kids and whatnot. Mike made sure we didn't get robbed or ripped off. Got the best deals possible. Which leads us to today, right? Did I get my days right?
Yeah, because after Krakow, we hopped back in the wonderful van.
Yeah,
and continued on. We back to Rodham, grabbed something to eat, and then all the way to Warsaw.
All the way to where we are today, and at this range where we have been shooting just a beautiful array of Pioneer Arms firearms. We got to shoot the full auto AK. The PPS 43 and the
PM 63.
I always jack that. The PM 63. Yeah. Beautiful shooting, full auto guns there. Obviously, we can't.
I can't wait to hit those shores.
But they do
the semi-auto's coming.
But they do have the semi-autos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a chance to
shoot
the military expert version of the Kalashnikov as well as original PPS 43 and the PM 63, but we also had a chance to shoot Pioneer Arms commercial versions, including the PM 63C was there.
Mm-hmm.
There was a whole host of other classic guns, including a DP-28 light machine gun, a RPD belt fed, a PPSH 41 Spagen submachine gun. We shot Mosins for fun, SKSs, all kinds of stuff.
Those Mosins were real fun to shoot.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And then we got a little taste of what's to come from Pioneer Arms. There was somehow an AR found its way on that
Polish-made AR.
Polish-made AR. What? Somebody say what?
This is strictly product for the military customer, so we just let you taste it and
got a little taste, but maybe that's coming to America. Coming to America.
Maybe if there was enough people saying we need it.
Mike. Because the quality that they put into the AKs, they're going to be putting it into those ARs as well. And it's going to be one that you're going to want to have, lead heads, definitely. So write Mike at pioneerarmscorp.com and say, we want your AR-15 too.
Great.
Very cool. Final thoughts, guys. We got to wrap this up. I know we got to go. We got another tour we're going to do.
I want to thank our hosts that we have had here. They have been gracious, and the hospitality here, and not just from our hosts on this tour, but just the entire country. Everybody we've interacted in Poland and the Czech Republic, just incredible, kind people. And for those of you, if you've never been to Poland, you really should come.
Make it a bucket list.
It is it's like a Midwestern United States hospitality type stuff.
Yeah,
great people, great food.
It's always a fantastic time. I love coming back over here. I love Eastern Europe. And to have a chance to come here with all of you guys just made it all the better. And, of course, Mike's been a fantastic host and allowing us to go and poke around every place and look at things and watch to see how things were done. That was very educational.
I think we were the first to do some of this stuff, too. Nobody has ever been
No one's ever been in Excalibur or
media.
Yeah. So that was amazing. So, big thanks to CJ for putting this together, making it happen. Mike, thank you so much for your hospitality.
You're welcome.
Hubert as well. I know he's not here right now, but big thanks to Hubert, Christoph, and Pavel. And then the guys here at the range, which I don't know how to pronounce. It's been awesome too. Your wife for allowing us to take you for the whole week. Appreciate her patience as well. But this is my first taste, my first experience with Europe, and I definitely want to come back. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And you're always welcome in America. You know that.
And please remember that Poland and US are the best allies.
There you go. So that brings us to the end of another edition of the Talking Lead podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you support those that support this show. The official optics of Talking Lead, Right On. Check them out at rightonusa.com. X Steel Targets, the best, most affordable AR-500 steel targets on the market today. xsteeltargets.com. Check them out. 1776 United, the official swag of Talking Lead. 1776united.com. Defy watches and Smith & Bradley watches, the official wristwear of Lefty at Talking Lead. Make sure you go and take advantage of those awesome deals that Jeremy brought you guys last episode. So listen to the previous episode 259. Find out how you can get great deals on those watches. Defywatches.com, SmithBradleyLTD.com. Modern Spartan Systems. Don't just clean your firearms, optimize them with Modern Spartan Systems line of cleaning products, lubricants, and they even have products for your vehicles and anything with an engine, basically the TVT engine oil additive. Great stuff. ModernSpartanSystems.com. And the sponsors of the Talking Lead AK Corner, Pioneer Arms. Check them out at pioneer-pac.com. As always, lead heads, keep your loved ones close
and your firearms closer.
I'm David Fortier with Outdoor Sportsman's Group, and keep your firearms closer.
I'm Robb Manning, Editor-in-Chief of Gun World Magazine, and keep your firearms closer.
And your firearms closer. Brian Papula, Big 3, Pioneer Arms.
And Daniel Johnson, Pioneer Arms.
I am Michalczuk with Pioneer Arms, Radom, Poland, and keep your firearms closer.